what are you going to do with your money? That's question number 2. That's actually the subject of my second book, The Win-Win Wealth Strategy, which is 7 investments the government will pay you to make. Okay? And this tells you which investments the government will give you a tax refund for making the investment. The government will give you a tax refund for making an investment. How many like the idea of a negative tax rate? That's effectively what's happening. So what that means is, let me give you an example. Let's say Robert Kiyosaki, also a client, let's say he makes a bunch of money here, right? He's out speaking, selling books, right? He's making a lot of money here. Okay, but then he invests the money over here. So he doesn't pay tax over here. Okay, he takes his money from here, invests it over here, so he doesn't have to pay tax over here. That's going back to right here. If I didn't have to pay tax on that $500,000 of income because of what I did with my money, I'd have $500,000. I wouldn't have $325,000. So it's not just how much tax do I pay on my investments. How much tax do I pay on every dollar I earn? And the best way, actually 90% of the tax planning we do in my accelerator program, 90% of it is focused on what you do with your money, because that's a much bigger deal. I mean, you can do home office, you can do automobile expense, travel expense. You can do things like paying your kids, things like that with, changing from a Schedule C to an S corporation like our attorney friend talked about this morning. Always a good idea. By the way, you want a really red flag? Have a Schedule C. You want a second red flag? Have a Schedule E and have your real estate reported on your personal return. That's a red flag. That will help cause an audit. I've seen audits caused simply because of a Schedule C. So let's say, what am I going to do with my money? Well, let's say I decide, well, hey, I went to this real estate course, Power Investor. Boy, it was good. And I really went because I wanted to learn how to make money. I didn't really go because I wanted to learn how to not pay tax. I went so I know how to make money, but boy, it'd be really cool if I could both make money and not pay tax, wouldn't it? That'd be a really cool combination. So let's say that you've got this same house here, okay? So I'm going to redraw it over here. Let's say I've got the same house. But now this is my rental property, okay? And this rental property has, when I buy it, actually has a couple of things. There's a building, right? But there's also land, right? There's land improvements, maybe some landscaping here. And there's the contents of the building, maybe a ceiling fans, window coverings, flooring, right, cabinetry. So there's contents, aren't there? Well, but when you buy it, you don't know that. You don't know how to break that out. So what we do is we do a professional cost segregation. And what a cost segregation does is it breaks out your purchase price between the building, the land improvements, and contents. Those 4 things. Why does that matter? Well, because land doesn't wear out. So land is not deductible. So we got land, and the biggest deduction in real estate is depreciation. And it's going to get bigger because this year they're going to bring back bonus depreciation. As of January 1st of this year, in all likelihood. Okay, that is my prediction, and I have a really good crystal ball. So land, the building, if it's residential, is going to get about 3.6%. Okay, not a lot, right? But the improvements are going to get about 7% depreciation, and the contents are going to get about 20%. However, with bonus depreciation, at least the way it has been, those two are now 100%. Once again, should we get bonus depreciation back the way we had it under the 2017 law, which we'll get it back. The only question is whether we'll get improvements in bonus, but we will get bonus depreciation back. If we get it back, then what happens is that rather than take a 7% or a 20% deduction, so 20% over 5 years, 7% is just 15 years, okay, that's all that is. We get 100% the year we buy the property, the year we place it in service. 100% deduction. Now, you think about how much of this is each of these. Typically, land's about 20%, building's about 50%. You need a professional cost segregation done. Improvements tend to be about 10%, and contents tend to be about 20%. That is typical. But you have to have professional cost segregation. I mean, you need an attorney. You need an attorney, but not for this. Attorneys can't do numbers. They just can't do math. So don't hire an attorney for this. Hire an attorney for all the words, which is why you hire the attorney for the LLCs, right? Because you need words. But for math, you hire accountants and you hire engineers, right? So you hire an accountant and engineer. They go out, they do a cost segregation. It costs little money, but it saves you a boatload of tax.